I was working in the Westbrook Motor Company, which is on the corner of Parnell Street and Marble Street. And about 25 past 5, a car came in and he asked for petrol. And I was filling her up, and next minute a big explosion. I seen the flames. The man I was serving, he was just sitting in the car, and that was it. And then the priest came along. That's the last thing I remember, was the priest. He just gave me the absolution. And I just went blank. I remember being getting put into an ambulance. And then the other explosion went off. I found out after it was Talbot Street.
On the 17th of May, I was working as an apprentice tailor in Liffey Street. I got off the bus at about 7 o'clock in the morning and I walked up Talbot Street. Later on that day, I'd arranged to meet my sister, and the buses had been changed at the time from the Quays to Gardner Street. I got off work early. Usually I didn't finish till 6 o'clock, but that day I got off early on the Friday. And I just remember heading off to meet my sister. Lucky enough, she wasn't able to make it, so she wasn't there. Otherwise she would have been in Talbot Street herself. I headed down into Talbot Street to meet her, and there was an explosion.
And I was brought to JFC Hospital, and then they said I was dead on arrival, and I was put into the morgue, and about four hours after I woke up in the morgue.
Do you feel that you're full of anger, bitterness?
I am, yeah. I'm full of anger, I'm full of bitterness, but I suppose over the last few years not that it has subsided, but it's still there. It'll never go away. It can't, you know. I mean, you know, being a citizen of the state, like, the government had a duty to protect me as a citizen. They failed to do that. And they still choose to ignore myself and others like me to this day. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't ask to be there.
Friday the 17th of May in 1974, at 1 minute to 7, I was in my home place of 1 Dawson Street, Monaghan, along with the remainder of my family. There was a loud bang, what appeared to be, as I thought, maybe it was a gas cylinder, it might have exploded, at a gas agent's store, which was next door, which belonged to Paddy Boyle.
There was talk coming through on the radio and things like that. People were saying that they heard a bomb went off in Dublin, or bombs went off in Dublin. They weren't just exactly sure. And to think that approximately an hour later in a small town like Monaghan, we had our own bomb here, which was devastating and changed a lot of lives forever on that day.
My father, when I went into him and I asked him was he okay, he had started to say the rosary. The gentleman that worked for my father, Cecil Lenehan, had gone up into the back sheds to hide, as he was afraid as to what had happened. He didn't know what had happened.
And people were just all over the place. They didn't know what was going on or what to expect. You nearly thought it was the end of the world. As I say, when I got to the street, it was unbelievable. There was a dead, eerie silence and a fog hanging over the whole area where the bomb had gone off. It was like a fog. It was, I don't know, something in the air, but it looked like a fog. And the silence was deafening.
Well, I was missing for 3 days. You couldn't find me because no one knew who I was. And it was the local priest, Paul Lavelle, found me. And then the thing, I was bitter for a while after, you know. It was about twice a week I was going for operations, you know, getting the shrapnel taken out of me, the whole lot.
And it went on for a long time after that, and thanks be to God, we got to the stage now where it is, everything is back to normal, you know what I mean, and people can get on with their lives now. But it took to this time to do this, you know, time for people to settle down, and even yet it's still in the minds of some people I talk to, especially people that was in the area at the time. Still think about it and talk about it, and every year on the 17th of May comes round, if you're in town you look over at the way things were on that night, you know what I mean. A very disturbing time for the Monaghan of the people of Monaghan.
I have a poem here that my son wrote. I thought you might like to hear it.
I'd love to know.
May 1974. Smoke rises with the morning sun. From the east comes a cloud and death's horrible hum. From the hills, valleys and mountains they come. Proud parents should never have to bury their young. The women of Ireland, rife with sorrow. For 34 victims, there is no tomorrow. Why did they target those everyday folk? The salt of the earth, full of dreams and hope. A faceless enemy that was hidden among us. Robbed of our dignity, there is no justice. Those that survived left in constant pain, with terrible nightmares and the faint echoes of blame. Our neighbours never heard our children's cries, blocked out by an empire with hate in its eyes. Talk of collusion hangs heavy in the air, like a poisonous gas, the worst atrocity in the history of the state. If only they had known their horrific fate. Let us listen to the pleas of the victims here before us. They seek justice. Justice for their friends, justice for their families, justice for the forgotten.